Okay, so just take a few minutes here and talk about some business planning resources and technical assistance that's available to folks. We're shifting gears a little bit. We're going to be talking now about some resources that are available through our Center for Profitable Agriculture, through the University of Tennessee Managed Program, through AgLaunch, through the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So for the next hour and a half or so, we're going to be hearing from presenters from these different organizations. So just first off, to talk a little bit about what we're going to be, on the next slide, our Center for Profitable Agriculture. So what we do is we assist with analyzing, developing value-added agriculture enterprises. We're a department of UT Extension. We have a formal partnership with Farm Bureau, and we collaborate closely with Tennessee Department of Agriculture. On this slide, you see our center staff. Rob Holland is our director. Kim Giorgio is our administrative assistant. And then we have specialists Jared Bruin, myself, Megan Lefew, and Troy Duggar assisting folks across the state. What we do is we provide educational programming and technical assistance to Tennessee farmers that are interested in a value-added enterprise to improve farm income. So we help farmers evaluate the cost of starting a new enterprise or expanding one. We help them navigate regulatory issues. We help them identify potential markets. We help them specifically one-on-one with doing individual enterprise analyses or just answering questions that come up. It may be a full-blown analysis. It may be a phone call. We also conduct workshops and conferences like this one, and we write publications and various planning tools. We get asked sometimes to give a list to a farmer as what are some projects that we have seen that have been successful, particularly value-added projects. And we'll mention that we've seen farmers have a CSA share program. We've seen people take their animals, get them processed, USDA inspected, and then sell and retail that meat from those animals. We've seen folks with pick your own operations. We've seen folks with fruits to can them and make preserves or jams or jellies. All of those, and agritourism, we've seen all of those be successful ventures for folks. But sometimes we get asked by farmers, what are some unsuccessful projects that you have seen? Well, it really is the same list. We have seen folks do the very same enterprises and not be successful. And so we ask, why is that? Well, it really depends on a number of things. Just having the right product is just one piece of the puzzle. Just because a farmer makes a value-added product doesn't mean that they'll be successful in marketing it. So you want to consider the process of making the value-added product, but you also want to spend a great deal of time just considering how you're going to reach your target audience. And so that's important for any business, but specifically here in our case for ones that are developing value-added agriculture businesses. So you want to be able to communicate and reach your target audience, reach those customers. And you're going to want to be able to, when you complete an application for a value-added producer grant, you're going to want to show that you have thought that out. So producing the product is just one piece of the puzzle. Marketing it is awfully important. Looking at profitability, there are a number of factors that you want to consider. Managing those costs, producing a product that's of high quality, doing it efficiently, pricing it at a level where customers will purchase it and come back, and achieving that sales volume that you need to cover all of your costs and cover the cost of your time and management and operating the enterprise. Our center defines value added as any enterprise that allows a producer or grower to earn a greater portion of consumer expenditures by processing, packaging, or marketing, and it would include agritourism. enterprises and direct marketing ventures. That's a little different from the definition of value added for a value added producer grant. And as Chuck has gone over, there's 5 methodologies that are considered for these value added products that to be eligible for a value added producer grant. I won't go over those again, but there you have them on the slide. One thing I want to mention is a resource that I just recently became aware of, and it's through USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service. It's a design resource. It's their wholesale markets and facility design. And what is provided here is technical assistance and support regarding the construction of new structures or the remodeling of existing ones. So their services would include assisting in a review of environmental issues and site selection and initial design concept, a building cost study, and coordination with local design professionals and third-party design reviews. So if you want more information about just what's available, I've got the email of Ron Batcher with USDA on the slide there. They don't do engineering, they don't do structural services, they don't do construction specifications or construction documents, but they can help in this initial concept discussion, and so that truly can be a valuable thing there. And I have suddenly lost my slide. Okay, I think we're now ready for Troy Duggar to come online. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Troy can share his. Troy is also with our Center for Profitable Agriculture, and he's going to talk about some beginning farmer resources that are available through our center. And we'll give Troy a minute here to get his presentation up.
I'm sorry, Hal, it's telling me the host is disabled my screen share.
Okay, that's because I haven't made you a co-host. My fault.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. See if that helps.
That's much better.
Awesome.
Are you seeing it now, Hal? Yes, okay, good. Thank you. Well, Hal, thank you for putting all this together today, as well as all of our other participants on the program. And welcome everyone, and thank you for taking time to be a part of this program today. My part is going to deal more specifically with some things that are available to beginning farmers from Extension, from USDA. So you might be thinking, well, I'm not a beginning farmer. Well, hopefully there might be some things in here that you can find as well that will be helpful. If you are a beginning farmer, maybe you've just been doing some things for just a few years, or maybe less than 10 when you get into the definition of it. Hopefully some of these things today will be helpful to you as we go through these slides today. We've got just a few things. We'll try to get through them in proper time. Just as we think about some things with anyone, whether you are a beginning farmer or not, just some things to think about. And there are a list of things. I just put a few things on this first slide to think about any enterprise that you're looking at, especially farming. And you might ask yourselves, why is it that I want to farm? Why is it that I want to get into agriculture and do some of these things? You might think also about how much land do you have? How much land do you want, and how much land do you need? And there may be 3 different answers to those. So you've got to think about what you have, what products you may be trying to grow, what you want to do. And again, there may be 3 different answers to that question that you're looking at. A preliminary budget or business plan. You'll probably learn some more about that today as well. That's probably not the fun part of agriculture or farming, but it's certainly some things that needs to be considered and thought about when you do that. How much income do you need or want to generate from the farm? You think, well, that's kind of a crazy question. Well, that all depends on where you are. You may have just retired. You may not need as much income from your farm, and maybe you're just, in a sense, looking for something to do, but you want to make a little money. Or maybe it's more serious than that, and you need to make funds, and you need to make some different type payments. So how much are you looking to generate from what you're doing? And then potential risk. You certainly need to look at those things as well, and what all is out there. Now, other things I'm going to present today are probably not going to help you in your completing your project or your grant, but hopefully it'll give you some things for some other resources that are outside there as well. Something for beginning farmers that we have through Extension, and this is through Tennessee State University Extension. Some of you may have heard of this before. It is the new Farmer Academy that Tennessee has. It is based really out of Tennessee State. Finest Stribling is over this, but it is held in a couple of other locations across the state. It is a program that that a lot of beginning farmers certainly take. We have a lot of folks that have maybe coming out of the military service that are retired from military, and they want to get into agriculture. Many of them take this program. This program is basically a classroom setting in the mornings, especially the one in Nashville, and then they get out and do some hands-on things, some practical things, or some farm tours in the afternoon with this particular program. The new Farmer Academy, it is a 7-month, it's a certificate program. You do get a certificate at the end. And there are 3 locations for the new Farmer Academy. And each of these locations, we have the emails for those that are over each one of those locations. And they are now taking applications for those classes, which most of these will run about usually March to October. But they are kind of scheduled a little bit differently, the days of the week that they are held. We have Joanne Waterman, who is in Memphis with the Shelby County Extension Office, that runs the one in basically West Tennessee. As I mentioned, Finest Stribling, who runs the one with TSU, and Finest is over all the academies, and he works with all of them, but he pretty much runs the one in Nashville. And then Jenny Goodrich in Wartburg in Morgan County. I think Jenny is looking at this year doing 2 classes and probably limiting each class to about 25 so that she can have some in-person type things. So it is a good program. If you're in the early stages of farming, maybe you're want to farm but you're not, you might pick up some ideas and things here through the beginning farmer, and excuse me, I always want to call it beginning farmer, through the new Farmer Academy as well. Another one that is available through Montgomery County Extension and Carla King, if you're in the Clarksville area. And this year, it doesn't matter where you are, you can join this one virtually. Carla has done this for the last 3 or 4 years, what she calls slow your roll. And her emphasis on that is for farmers not just to jump into something, but kind of think and plan before you do something. This one, she is taking applicants now. It will be held the first Friday of each month, March through October. I think there are going to be about 15 that can be in person, but it's going to be open virtually. These are held usually around lunchtime. These are not all day sessions. These are usually hour and a half type sessions, and I'm not sure what she's going to do with this year. They do try to get outside some and do some farm visits. I don't know if she's going to be able to do that this year. But Carla Keene in Montgomery County, that's her email if you'd like some more information from Carla about that. And then she has a kind of a theme or subject matters that she tries to look at each year, and they're different each year. This year, she's going to be looking at regenerative farm practices, soil conservation, and cover cropping, and also some business development planning will be included in those sessions as well. Many of you may be familiar with the master programs that Tennessee Extension has, and you might think, well, as a beginning farmer, why would I want to get into one of those? Well, again, just to learn some things, to kind of think about which direction that you might want to go in. And yes, we do have a lot of the folks that participate in those have been farming or in agriculture for quite a while, but we are finding several of the new beginning farmers enrolling in some of these master classes. A lot of these are going on right now. It'd probably be best to contact your local county extension office to see when those are happening. I know 1 or 2 of these just began this last week, from the advanced master beef to, if you've got the Master Small Ruminant Program for goats and sheep. We have two new ones this year, the Tennessee Master Farm Manager Program that looks at a lot of the finance things with farming. That is a new one. I know a session of that began virtually this past Thursday night. And the Master Row Crop Producer, also a new one. So a lot of these are virtual. There is a cost to these, and there is a cost to the New Farmer Academy. I didn't bring that out. And there is to these master programs as well, but a lot of those are being held virtual this year. So you might have some interest in that, but I would contact my local county extension office to find more about those. Something else that you might look at for beginning farmers, if you're looking at produce, if you're looking at vegetables and fruits and those kinds of things, this is just the website for the Center for Crop Diversification. This is out of the University of Kentucky, and we work closely with them in a lot of different areas. But one of the things that they do, and we are working with them to develop some of these for Tennessee producers as well. So let me throw in right quickly. I'd like for you to maybe take a look at our new CPA website that we have. We are developing a specialty crops section on our CPA website with some help from the Center for Crop Diversification folks. If you look at their website, they have lots of things. It is geared toward Kentucky, but with our climate and theirs, not a lot of difference in that. But they have what we call, if you look at the list over here of price reports from farmers markets, they didn't get to do those this last summer because of COVID, but they're going to try to do that again this year. Production marketing tools, again, for just lots of different fruits and vegetables, high tunnels, nursery and ornamentals, all those things can be found. I want to call your attention to the production side. If you click on the production side, then you'll get to a section that just has crop profiles. And this is one of the things we're working with them to develop some crop profiles for some of our crops, fruit and vegetable crops in Tennessee. They have about 200 of these crop profiles on their website. And when you get to this section, you'll see where it's vegetables, fruit, high tunnels and greenhouses, nursery and ornamentals, grain, fiber, forage, oil, and fuel. And you'll find these crop profiles are 4 to 6 page fact sheets, and they're presented and done in a very good way. They give you lots of things about production. They talk about marketing and the economic side of it. So if you're just looking to find out some basic information about any of these type crops, this is one place to go. And then again, we're trying to develop some of those on our website as well with our center. But this is a great place to go with the Center for Crop Diversification out of the University of Kentucky Extension. Another resource that's available to beginning farmers, it's on our website. This is just the front of a CPA info sheet that Hal and I put together, well, about 1.5 years ago now, I suppose. This is about an 8-page document. And in this, it is just to give some information to, some educational resources and some funding resources that are available. If you get this online, this has about 40 different links to Tennessee Extension, Tennessee State Extension, to USDA resources, to other state extension services, lots of things that we've put in there that would be helpful to beginning farmers and really to anyone that is in farming. To the links are live. The links as of a few months ago are all good. And you can look at a lot of different things and get lots of information from this particular publication. Again, it's up to 40 different links, 40 different websites that you can visit, from economic things to production things. And we think it'd be very helpful, especially those that are just starting their operation, their farming. Another thing that we just come out with is for beginning farmers is a little publication that is new, and we put on our website, How to Talk Farming. Well, you think, well, that might be a crazy idea, but How to Talk Farming. This is just a little publication of about 200 terms for farmers. With a lot of different wordings that are out there, a lot of different terms that are used in agriculture. This particular booklet, if you're new to agriculture and production side of it, may help to define some of those things. You hear a lot of different wording out there. We hope that this publication will help to define some of those things and let you know better some things that we're talking about when we look at these things. So this is just a beginning farmer's guide to agricultural words, terms, and definitions. And if you're new, again, we think that hopefully, and we think that will be helpful to you as well. Something else that I put in here, and part of my role with the center is to work with the Southern SARE program, the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program. And I wanted to throw this grant program in there. And this is not just for beginning farmers. I think you have to have an operation going, but it may give you a chance for some other grants. This one, there are 5 different grant programs with SARE, but this is one of them that is devoted just to producers, just to farmers. And it is one that Tennessee has had more success with than any of the others. And we're trying to get, again, more applicants for this particular program. And this is through Southern SARE. At the bottom of this slide, that is the website for Southern SARE that tells you more about this particular grant program. This is for individual farmers that you can get up to $15,000 a year. For a group of farmers, up to $20,000. Excuse me, it's for a 2-year project. That's the way SARE looks at most of their grant programs, is through a 2-year project. It is competitive. It is a pretty competitive type grant. You're competing against other farmers in the Southeast, 13 states, and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So it is pretty competitive. The call for the proposals go out each September. And I failed to put this in there, but I think the proposals are due online with SARE in November, and then the funding is announced the following March. And so this program began back in 1994. It is for if you want to do some of your own research on your farm. Maybe you've had a problem with bugs, insects, whatever it might be, and you've got a hypothesis, something that you might want to try, and how you can share the information from that with other producers through a field day at your farm or through some educational type handouts. So in these particular type of grants, it is good to work with someone else as well. It could be another farmer. It could be, if you've got a good relationship with your local extension agent, that would be great, as they can help with hosting getting the educational material out to others, or someone with NRCS that you do work with. That would be someone else that you could team with for this particular grant. But again, the website for that is at the bottom of this particular slide. Wanted to mention quickly through Farm Service Agency, and I don't work with Farm Service Agency, so you might want to check with them if you have any other questions, but they do have a microloan program in 2 different kinds, the operating and the ownership, where you can get up to, I think the max is $50,000 on each of these programs, not to exceed $100,000, I believe. On the operating expenses, again, the max is $50,000, and repayment is not to exceed the 7-year time. And then ownership microloan program, where you help to purchase a farm, enlarge an existing farm, or to construct new buildings. Again, maximum $50,000 on that, and the repayment time is not to exceed 25 years. Again, there's a website at the bottom of this particular slide that gives you a nice 4-page fact sheet on the microloan program through Farm Service Agency. And you can visit with those folks to get a little more information about that as well. And these are just 4 or 5 different websites I wanted to include on here. Most of these are USDA type things. If you're new to USDA programs, the first one kind of gives you some programs about USDA, what might be available to you as a beginning farmer. The second one is our questions. If you've got your questions yourself, I'm just starting, and this is some of my thoughts. This particular one kind of answers some of those questions or give you some help with those questions as well. The third one deals with it's a very slick 4 or 5 question where you just answer each one of those questions. It gives you some choices with each question, the farm loan discovery tool, and then it tells you about which loan would be best for you with USDA. The fourth one, excuse me, goes into a little detail about the loans for beginning farmers and ranchers, and gives you a little fact sheet about that as well. And then the last one, gives you a location of your U.S. Service Center, USDA Service Center, sorry. If you haven't worked with them a lot, or maybe again, you're new to farming, you need to know where that center is. There's not one in every county, but there is one that serves your county. For instance, I live in Hickman County. The service center is in Hickman County, but it also serves Lewis and Perry counties as well. So that link will get you to where you can find out where your USDA service center is that serves your county. And that's something else we want the beginning farmers to recognize and to know as well. And then one last slide I'll put out there. This is a for beginning farmers and for anyone. Here are a couple of books through SARE. And I could maybe get books. I don't know if I can get 100 of those right now. Might could if you give me a little time. But one of them is Building a Sustainable Business, that goes in a lot more depth about business plans. The second one, and I apologize for that slide, it looks like everything's kind of one there. There are two separate books there. Farmer's Guide to Business Structures, where it talks about the different type of business structures that you might want to set up for your particular farm. You can also go to the Southern SARE website and download these books. They are free to you. If you would like a hard copy, I may be able to get that for you. You can contact me or contact Hal. We can see what we can do through that. Hal has used these books in some of his other sessions as well, other things that he has done. And I'm going to lean on Hal just a little bit to maybe make a couple of comments about these books as well. And then I'm going to try to just stop sharing my screen and end that. So I hope some of that is helpful to you. And Hal, thank you for letting me be a part program today.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate that very much, and appreciate those resources that you mentioned, specifically those last couple of books there that you mentioned, that Building a Sustainable Business. Very valuable resource that if you're looking to put together a business plan, it's a very easy to walk through book there on step-by-step how best to develop a business plan. And the other one that you mentioned there really had to do with business structures. Very, very helpful, very insightful books there, written in very easy to understand language. The business structure book, you might think that's a pretty dry topic, but really and truly, it's written in such a way that if you're looking to try to decide what's the best business structure for my farm, it's written just specifically with farmers in mind. So it takes a pretty complex topic and boils that down into very basic information. That's very helpful. If you're considering writing a business plan, or if you're looking to decide what kind of business structure is best suited for my farm, look at those online. And if you'd like to have a hard copy, let us know, and Troy will try to get us one of those. So thank you very much, Troy, for sharing that with us today. All right, so our next.
Can I just add one thing quickly? I'm sorry.
Sure, Troy.
Somebody asked about Slow Your Roll. There was an email on there for Carla King, or if you'll just contact Montgomery County Extension Office, Carla can get you signed up. Don't know that alpacas were covered in small ruminant. I know mainly it's sheep and goats that they do cover. And I did put my email in the chat if anybody's got any other questions or wants me to, if I can help refer you to get some other information to you. Thank you, Hal. Sorry for the interruption.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Troy. Okay, so our next presenter is Les Humple. Les, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, you're welcome to do that. Les is a area farm management specialist with the University of Tennessee Manage program. And so we've asked him to come and share some information about that program and just how folks can benefit there. So Les, if you want to start your slideshow there, we should be able to see that.
Okay, can you see that now, Hal?
Well, we can see it's not in presentation mode yet. Okay. Yeah, we can see it. Once you start it in slideshow mode, we should be able to see specific slides.
Okay.
Is this showing that screen over there?
Yeah. Okay, how about that, Hal?
Real good, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Thank you, Hal. Good morning, everyone. My name is Les Humple, and I work with the Manage program based in Murray County, and I serve a 12-county area in South Central Tennessee. So I'm very fortunate to be part of the UT Extension family, so to speak. and working with producers one-on-one and in group settings. The managed program, not only do we work with farm families one-on-one, but also with those looking to add value to their produce that they're producing. And the focus of our program through the managed, it's an educational effort, focused on improving the profitability and quality of life, and also the sustainability of the Tennessee farm families. And with that, in turn, we hope that these farm families, strengthen the agriculture industry and have a more positive impact on the standard of living and economic development, not only in their local communities, but also in the state economies as well. So let's get to the next screen here. I gotta get. Okay. So, with the managed program, it's designed to help farm families analyze their total farming business. So we help farm families, make those more informed decisions regarding their future. The program itself, it started back in the 80s when we had the really severe financial crisis within the farm communities, and we were looking for a way to help those farmers make those informed decisions about the future. How to improve their financial structure or marketing capacities, or planning on what enterprises to continue or to disregard. So we offer those individualized services, as far as not only the overall farm planning, but also the financial planning assistance as well. We work with workshops, like for instance here today with the Center for Profitable Ag, but also we conduct workshops designed on record keeping, focused on QuickBooks or Quickens or how to use Excel. We also have goal setting type of workshops, and also some strategic planning where it's going to be farm transition, transitioning that farm from one generations to the next. So we kind of sit down and we kind of review the whole financial situation when we meet with a farm family. We want to, capitalize on those strengths and also reduce the weaknesses that might be involved in that farm business. And furthermore, we're looking to develop the individualized farm plan. So, we're talking about today about alternative value added. So with that, we look at and analyze what the farm or business is currently doing, and look at some of those alternatives. How will they benefit that farm? Is this the road to go down to? And again, we're not there to make the decision for you. We're there to help you make the best decision for your operation and your family. So we kind of evaluate, capital investment opportunities, whether it's going to be land or machinery, or that additional enterprise that may be added. So, and with that, when we're not a record keeping type of service, we're more of an analysis. We want to kind of see what are the consequences of adding a new enterprise or a piece of equipment. How does that change the scope of the enterprise, and is that going to be a benefit to that family? And you determine it, the appropriate production practices. So whether that would be adding that value added enterprise to the system, whether it's going to be, say, going from organic to conventional type of tillage or farm practices. We determine the cost factors involved and also the end results. As mentioned, I'm one of 7 current managed agents across the state. There are 9 total regions, and we're in the process of hiring a couple new agents. I'm based in Maury County, and I also take care of currently Hardin and McMurray County. So even if currently there's not someone scheduled in your county, that's not a problem, because we'll be able to take care of anyone across the state. Kevin Ferguson, based in Rutherford County. He's the program coordinator, and he, along with Alan Galloway and Dallas Manning, have been with the program for over 30 years going on. So we do have a great deal of knowledge within the system, and we can rely on each other as far as answering specific questions that one of us may not know. For instance, Alan Galloway is an expert in the tax side of it. Dallas Manning works extensively, or really one-on-one, with a lot of the nursery growers in the southern part of the state, and has developed a manual for QuickBooks, how to use it, how to incorporate it into a family situation. One of the tools that we work with is called FINPACK. It was developed by the University of Minnesota probably over 40 years ago. And what it does, it really helps producers understand their financial situations to make those informed decisions. So what we do, we really put in the data into the system. We start with a really intricate balance sheet. We add in budgets. We break it down by enterprise. And what I mean by that is, as an enterprise, if you're on say a beef cow farm and you also have crops, the beef cow part of it would be one enterprise. Your corn production would be another enterprise. If you have hay or soybeans, those would be separate enterprises. So that way we can kind of see which area of the farm is really being beneficial, is the one that's really cost effective. If some enterprise is more of a drag, we kind of look at how improvements can be made, or maybe we need to kind of eliminate that and focus on the other industries. Now, this way, this can be also incorporated into those looking to add value added to their current farm situation. And as you're planning to apply for some of these grants, it's very key to have a great record keeping system, but also detailed information. And that's kind of where we come into as a resource in helping it in those planning stages. So once, within that FINPACK framework, we can look at, looking at different combinations. Do we change the efficiencies? If we want to add on an enterprise, how does that look for the overall structure? Or adding debt, does that meet the goals that we're looking for? And is that going to make improvements where they need to be made? Another good aspect of it, what we do, is the cash flow planning, which is going to really need to be looked at when you're adding the value enterprise. We can do monthly cash flows and also annual ones up to 10 years. So we want to project all the sources and uses of the cash during a specific time period. We can do at the beginning of the year cash flow and also adjust it as we go through the year. Projections on annual operating loans, and borrowing, and timing of borrowing, and repayments during the year. One thing with a great, well-developed cash flow, it allows that producer to kind of see, how that year is projected, how it is developing over the course of the months. It kind of leaves you a lot of stress too when you have a good cash flow. You can see, over the course of the year, you may have a lot of expenses early on, and then, where's that income going to come over the later part of the years? You can kind of see how the trends change. Another real benefit of a established cash flow is when you're working with your lender. For instance, you start getting toward the end of the year where you maybe sell a lot of your commodities to generate some of that income. You may see an opportunity where waiting a few months to make those sales will give you a greater benefit, maybe an uptick in the market. You can go to those lenders and say, with the cash flow, if we wait a few months to pay back this loan or sell our product, our income is going to be greater. And extending that loan will be a benefit to us. So this way, working with your lenders one-on-one, having a great cash flow sheet will greatly enhance that operation. Again, when you're looking with a value added, record keeping, having that data is critical. They can be used in creating those budgets and any of the type of financial statements. a good record keeping system, it helps managers answer those important questions like, where's that total income? Where's all the money go? And, how we can be more efficient in that business. The records, remember, they're the facts about that business. They describe that business, and they can kind of identify the strong parts and also the weaknesses as well of that particular business. And they're the foundations of success, within that farm. So, within that record system, we can help set up whether it's going to be like a Quicken, QuickBooks, or even an Excel type of spreadsheet to, help those producers kind of gain a better control of their information. It's critical. One of the critical things that we do is in the beginning is put together a balance sheet. The balance sheet is basically, net worth statements, what your assets are, what are your liabilities. That really gives a true reading over periods of time as far as which way your business is trending. Is it increasing? Are you increasing value? Are you losing value? If you rely on just say an income statement or on your tax records like a Schedule F, that only tells kind of just a small part of the story as far as what's happening that year. It really doesn't give you the whole, really the health of your farm over time. So having that balance sheet is important in the long run. And with the records, it permits the analysis, the income generated, and also cost of production of each enterprise. So when you're looking at value added, that would be an extra enterprise to consider. Like I mentioned, the cash flow budgets are prepared annually at the beginning of the year. And, the record system generates the comparisons of what the actual cash flow is to that projected budget. Do that monthly or quarterly. The more active that business is, the more that you'd want to do it. It can even get down to the weekly part of it, or even daily. It all depends on the scope of your business and the size. Another thing with the record keeping, we want to make sure that on the keep things broke down as much as possible. Your inputs, the yields, livestock projections per units. So with bushel, gallons, animal units, in order to track progress. On the records, they can kind of need balance to the bank statement, whether it's going to be on a weekly or on a monthly basis. So whether that's going to be a Quicken or on a Excel spreadsheet, critical to kind of make sure that everything is in balance. You want to share it. One thing oftentimes on records and on really data in general, it's not really shared with all those key operators. If you have family members, if you're working with business lenders or say someone that's kind of is acting as a coach for you, share this information with them to help get their opinion on it, and also give them a better idea of the direction that we're heading. You talk a lot about the financial records, but also production records sometimes get overlooked as far as breaking it down to what was that yield on that field, or other production records, the inputs that you have, how much fertilizer was used, or what was the cost of that ingredient that you had purchased. The input cost in production records, I would take it one step further. When we're talking about records, I really suggest that you also add environmental records to it. And what I mean by that is, did we have rain in May? Did that make a big difference to your success of growing vegetables or your inputs? How was the summer? This way you can kind of compare that to if you made changes. For instance, if you changed up your farming practice as far as going from what you call kind of traditional to maybe organic, was that due to the practice, or was it done to environmental issues? And this way it gives you a better understanding of the end results over the course of the year, of how that your management decisions played into the outcomes. With record keeping, we always want to look at it as just not keeping those records, but to analyze those. And that's where, with the other specialists in my area in the managed program, we can work with you as far as analyzing those records to make those decisions long-term. Question that we get, how much detail do you put into it? And I kind of go to is, how specific are you going to be? How broke down is that value added business going to be for you? The more in depth that you go as far as adding manufacturing processing, I mean, think of things like, keeping records of labels. How much do the labels cost? How much does it cost to clean the processing facility? If you're running, say, 10 gallons of product through a processing facility that has to be cleaned and costs you $40 to clean, it's going to cost you the same whether you're running 10 or 100 gallons through. So we want to make sure those records are detailed. That way, when you kind of go back over a period of time, you can see where changes and efficiencies can be made. Maybe you don't have to process every day, or maybe it's every 3 days or 5 days. What makes it more efficient within that operation? So when we sit down with individuals and we want to put together a plan, a feasibility study, or a business plan, having those accurate records as far as cost and is essential. So, those saying, garbage in, garbage out as far as the records. So kind of just in summary, with a managed program and with some of the tools that we use, whether it be FINPACK, and it kind of allows the farm operators to determine current financial position. And with the FINPACK tool, we can use that to evaluate different alternatives. So we can set up in the system different alternatives as far as either cropping systems or production systems to see how the result's going to be. Again, we're not here to make those decisions for you. We're here to kind of help you and assist you to make clear decisions on your behalf. So, with records, with any data, over time, they will improve. The more history that you have, the more detailed it will be. And, using detailed records can benefit all the operators involved, whether it be, if you're just going to be part-time, full-time, or value added, or just kind of being just a general farming on yourself just for a hobby. In closing, as a managed agent, we're here to help, develop value enterprises. And again, doesn't matter where you're at in the state, whether it's going to be small or large, we'll be glad to assist those involved. So just reach out to contact information that we had on the slides, or contact your local extension office. Right. Okay, that's all that I had here, Hal. I don't know if there's any questions.
Hey, Hal, you're still muted.
Can't get used to that. Thanks, Troy. Yeah, really appreciate Les presenting that today, and thank you for that information about the managed program. You can tell that these guys with managed, like Les, really have done a lot of work in helping producers use their records to analyze their businesses, to look at the feasibility of adding a value-added activity. So we really encourage producers to take advantage of these area farm management specialists who can help them with their operations. Okay, we're going to take about a 5-minute break here. Well, I see there is one question there. What record keeping tool do you recommend? Something user-friendly, Les? Can you speak to that?
I think some of it depends on how big your operation is, how intense it is. Sometimes just having, pen and paper works fine in some regards. Excel is another good option for smaller producers. I mean, you can kind of go to when as you increase in size, things like Quickens or QuickBooks will also be very beneficial as well. So it really depends on the scope of your business and how much, if you have employees, QuickBooks is probably the way to go. Now, if it's just you're the sole proprietor, sole employee, and you just have a, say, more basic operation, and you're not adding records every day or details every day, maybe like an Excel would also probably be the way to go without, costing anything.
Okay, very good. We're going to take about a 5-minute break before we resume for our next presenter, which will be AgLaunch. So I'm going to pause the presentation here just for a moment. Okay, so we have resumed recording. We've got Pete Nelson with us from AgLaunch in Memphis, and he's going to talk with us about some business planning resources and some technical assistance that's available through AgLaunch. So Pete, we'll turn it over to you now.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Hal. And this is a great group. I think one of the sad things about having to do virtuals, we don't get to all be together. One of the good things is we've got a really nice group with folks from all over the state. And if you're a farmer looking to get into something beyond farm gate, this is about as good as you're going to get in terms of getting materials. So glad to be part of the group and share with you a little bit today. By way of quick background, I started out in Tennessee as a small farmer in 1995, 50-acre farm. We were doing cutting hay, doing a little bit of market gardening, looking at markets for flowers and a few other things. And that got me interested in alternative crops and value-added agriculture. So I've spent my career trying to figure out how to build businesses around farmers. Now the current buzzword is disruption, but disrupting the supply chain by farmers pushing beyond farm gate into new types of enterprises. I noticed a couple of hemp people on here. That included the first hemp bill, I believe, in the South that we introduced outside of Kentucky in 1997. And one of the businesses I've had a long time collaboration with was the first business in Canada to actually legally get a license to grow hemp in 1994. And those are the kind of business I'm really interested in, is things that we can grow that are new crops or alternatives, including vegetables. And how do we add value to that? Our organization, which I guess we've been collaborating with you all, Hal, since before we were even a formal organization, but we started kind of out of that vision of how do we help farmers look at new opportunities, and where we fit hand in hand with CPA is, I guess you kind of categorize what we do as special projects. We do some of the add-on things that allow businesses to be built, including looking at technology and how that could be on the farm. So our mission is creating farms of the future. We categorize that as carbon negative farms that farmers can actually make money on, that have an opportunity to play in the supply chain differently than maybe traditionally that we've done. And we view those farms as being the catalyst for transforming regions and communities around healthy food and healthy farm economies. So we're a staff of 7. My office is on my urban farm here in Memphis, but we work throughout the state with farmers that are interested in building new types of innovations. So what I wanted to do today was introduce you to a quick way of thinking or a quick model. This is borrowed out of the tech sector, but what I will tell you is you've heard some great stuff pre-farm gate already today as a new beginning farmer, how to organize and build your farm business and look at budgets. We're now also, obviously, with the VAPG grant, talking about how to build a business with the things that you grow to capture more of the value and return that to your bottom line. And so all I'll say is this tool, if you get good at it, should be the moment you're sitting around at the kitchen table thinking, hey, we should do this. This should be the first thing that you pull out and just make notes on and make sense, try to make sense of the brain teas that you've jumped out with and put a little bit of framework around it. So this has been built really, again, by the tech sector as kind of a reaction to the 90-page business plan that you have to crank out eventually when you go to the bank. How do you have a quicker tool that allows you to do quick analysis of what your business is, what your idea is, and whether it might have some legs? And so again, I would, if there's nothing else you get from me today, I would learn this tool This will help you with your VAPG grant, but it will also help you in life. If you're somebody that's thinking of new ideas in agriculture and ways to create businesses, this is the lens to kind of think about it and organize your thoughts through. So we're just going to give you a quick preview. I realize some of you may have broadband issues and other things, so we can get you resources if you can't access YouTube easily. But where you want to get the information to follow up with this is just type in Steve Blank, how to build a business in YouTube. And I think there's about 200 videos in that folder, but it breaks down every one of these components in a way that makes sense. So we're going to hit you with a little bit of fire hydrant. And Hal, I'm looking at you on the screen. Are we good to, we're just going to run through this and we'll talk about a few resources here at the end. So the way that you want to think about, again, any idea, whether you call it an independent business, I'm farming, now I'm going to work with some other farmers and we're going to grow calendula flower and press it into oil and sell it to the cosmetics. So I'm farming, now I'm going to be part of a venture with other farmers, or I'm farming and I'm creating an on-farm farmers market or CSA, or any way that you're going to add value to what you're doing beyond just producing the commodity or the crop or the livestock itself. I would look at this whole framework around what we call the business model canvas. You'll also hear words like lean startup, but they're all sort of synonymous with this idea of a quick look at what you need to build the business. And so if you kind of sit down, you need to kind of start, and you can run a copy of this. Normally when we do this in person, we give you a copy and we take, I think, about an hour to work through it. Hal, I can't remember how much time, but we take time to work through it. Today, we're just going to give you a preview. And again, you can see all these videos performed much better than me from Steve Blank. So make sure you go back and look at that. So let's talk through what you're going to fill in here. This should be a working document. Put it in pencil. It should be changing quite a bit as you get deeper into answering questions that would allow you to address these issues. So the first thing you want to think about is really, who are your customers and what are the kind of customers you're going to have? So if you were going to, I am producing tomatoes right now, but I want to expand the outlets for those tomatoes. So I'm going to be part of a CSA. I'm also going to be part of canning and producing a tomato product and the different outlets. You want to be able to think very, very clearly, who are the customers? Most of the time, if you're entrepreneurial at all, and I'm sure you all have experienced this, a lot of things we think in our minds that customers would like, customers won't actually like. And so it's helpful to really sit down and think about the customer and start segmenting out. I need to reach customers that are within a 10-mile radius of my farm. I need to reach customers that are driving by on the freeway. I need to reach customers in these three municipalities. Where are they different from each other? How are they the same? And really unpack that. So that's probably the best place to start, and ask questions, a lot of questions. Before you spend the first dime building something, putting processing in, talk to 25, 30 potential customers and really be able to fill out, here's the type of customers. I'm growing a new type of grain and I'm selling it to breweries. Well, I'm going to talk to big breweries, small breweries, startups, different kinds of distilleries. I'm going to talk to 25, 30 different potential customers and really understand who wants my processed grain product and in what form and where, and really, really understand that. And if you can't get there, the rest of the whole thing sort of breaks down. So this is kind of how you think about it. How many, which parts are niche and not, how to segment out. You may find, if you're using the example of we're growing a specialty grain for the brewery distillery business, that your customers ultimately at the scale you're working with are only going to be the small groups that are doing batch production. Or you may find it's only the middle of the line. So segmenting that out, really understanding and trying to even diversify. It's best to not put all your eggs in one basket, literally. And so having that spread out between different and really thinking about who is getting value out of this product. And then starting to lay out the most important customers on that list. Hold on just a moment. I have my assistant coming to the door. Hang on. Hi. You can sit in here, but I'm teaching a little class right now. So you can sit on my lap during the class if you want, and that'll be fine.
Well,
I'm certain.
what's right here?
Oh, good. You got some makeup on. All righty. You all, I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, just now, as of a day ago, a 5-year-old, and they frequently come visit me. So I hope everybody can relate with that. The second part of the canvas is what we call the value proposition. And this is one that has gotten me hung up many, many times because, again, I'm an entrepreneur, so I get really excited about this idea. Got really excited, for over a decade working in Canada with hemp and trying to develop the markets and think about it. But really, why would your customers want to work with you as opposed to somebody else that might have a similar offering? Really understanding what problem, what need you're satisfying, and then making sure that that fits within the customer segment and that you're delivering the value. And so you've got to first understand, do you have customers? Who are the customers? And then what is the real value that you're attaching? And one of the great positive things about being a smaller farming operation doing value add is that there's a huge amount of impugned value just by the fact that folks want to support small farmers or medium-sized farmers and their rural economies and urban ag. Those things are all hot areas. So you'll get a lot of value there, but really trying to quantify where possible and making sure that you're protecting that value and there's enough value.
Pete, I think you've frozen up. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Did we lose Pete? Okay, I'm sure Pete will be trying to rejoin us here in a moment or two. All right. In the meantime, Will Freeman, are you available to possibly load your presentation?
Yes, sir. Hal, how you doing this morning?
Doing good. Good to see you there. Let me see if I can make you a co-host here.
Yes, sir. How's my audio doing this morning?
Excellent.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Really good. I appreciate you jumping in here for us. We've got
Absolutely.
Will Freeman from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, and Will's going to talk to us about some programs that they have available at TDA, some cost share programs, some other programs. And so we've asked Will to share some of those with us. Thank you for being flexible and nimble here with us, Will, to jump right in. Thank you very much.
No, absolutely. Appreciate you all allowing us to join in on this good and exciting event. As Hal said, I'm Will Freeman. I'm with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture's Business Development Division. I'm working with some of our grant programs and outreach for the department. Excited to spend some time this morning sharing with you all a little bit about some of our individual programs, if nothing else, just to have in your pocket as you move forward with your businesses or potential projects, just to know what's available at the state level for the industry of ag, both with grant programs and opportunities, as well as some of our marketing options as well. We'll jump right into it, and we'll have a slide per program to discuss at a high level. Definitely feel free to unmute and ask questions along the way, or to put something into the chat box. And I'm sure Hal can flag me down if I need to take a break to answer a question in that chat box. The first program that we want to talk about is our most popular program. It's the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. You may hear this referred to as TAEP or just Ag Enhancement. But with this program that's been around since 2005, what you need to think of is simply production agriculture. As you see on that first bullet point, this is for long-term on-farm investments, whether you're a beef cattle producer, a row crop producer, just a Tennessee farmer that is looking to build up your farm and your business through an on-farm investment, this cost share program was developed to help with just that. Some examples of what this may look like could include anything from grain bins for row crop producers, cattle working equipment. It's had a history of hay storage for cattle producers and other meat producers as well. Um, and it's an annual opportunity that allows a little bit of input from the producer side, as well as some support from the state side, just to build up the ag industry throughout Tennessee. The third bullet point we see here is application B. There is an individual application within the TAEP program that is focused on value-added products. Some examples of that could be anything from the horticulture industry, where a business may need new irrigation equipment to really take their business to the next level and sell to new markets. That would be a competitive fit for this program. Or maybe even a beef producer that is getting close to being able to sell their meat directly from the farm, but needs a freezer in place to be able to do that. That freezer and that individual piece, that's kind of the key to taking your business to the next level, is a competitive fit for this application B within TAEP. It's an annual program. The last couple of years, the application period has been at the beginning of October. We will send out information as the time gets closer, but in general, you can look for that time period to be what we're working with on the TAEP program. And as we see, it's not designed for startup costs. We talked a little bit about beginning farmer or new producer programs and options earlier this morning. The Tennessee Department of Ag does not have a grant program specifically designed for startup businesses, or new farmers is probably a more appropriate phrase for that. However, TAEP, being a producer support program, is something that can be available, we hope, for years to come. And so definitely this is something that you should keep in your pocket and in mind as you move forward. I see in the chat, please do not use examples of application A, stick to application B, value added. Definitely for today, as we talk about value added options, application B is the focus of a good fit for TAEP. Folks can definitely utilize both application A, which is some of those examples I mentioned earlier, like hay storage or cattle working equipment, and application B as well. But as we go through the different programs involved with the Tennessee Department of Ag, not all of these will be value-added programs, just items to keep in mind as you move forward with your different types of businesses and programs. There's a link here at the bottom for TAEP, and you can spend all afternoon seeing the different types of programs and items that are eligible and what you need to be eligible for those different items. It's a big program, but definitely one that we hope that you keep in mind if you're on that production ag side. That's a key to kind of separating out our different programs at the state level. If you're a producer, think TAEP. However, maybe you're not a producer and you're focused more on processing or being an aggregator for Tennessee commodities. This may be more of a fit for the Ag Enterprise Fund, AEF. This program's been around for a few years and is something that, again, we hope to offer for years to come. But the goal for this program is more for businesses that are having projects that will support multiple producers. So some examples of the Ag Enterprise Fund, just to kind of have in mind as we discuss this one. Good competitive examples, maybe a new or expanding meat processing facility that will offer the opportunity to add value to 20 plus meat producers a month. That's something that has an obvious high value to the markets of producers in their area. Other examples to keep in mind, maybe a sawmill that has a good amount of board feet of lumber coming through with an expansion project or startup. Maybe a malt house, just to give kind of a different, less obvious example, if somebody could show to us that this project would lead to um, a serious or higher level amount of value added opportunities connecting grain producers to folks who would need malted barley in the Tennessee area, that's an innovative, good connection for AEF. Again, not as much focused on the producer side like TAEP is, more so focused on processor, um, added value options that create new markets for Tennessee producers. There is a preference given to at-risk and distressed counties. Um, the goal of this program at its beginning was to support those areas. And so if we have two meat processing projects that are close to the same, we can only fund one. Um, we will look towards the economically distressed or at-risk counties. This is an up to a 25% cost share program, but I will say this is an extremely competitive program. It's something where we see an increase in applications for each round, where we haven't yet seen a large amount of increase in the available funding. Um, and so it's a competitive program for sure. Um, um, the proof of financing and business plan is required when it comes to comparing the application for this program to maybe the VAPG program that we're going to spend a good bit of time talking about this afternoon. The application itself is shorter. However, we will need proof of financing, a letter from the bank saying you're in good standing, and a business plan, which is a fortunate and great fit for what Pete is talking about in other parts of today. You can also go online at the link shown here, or just by Googling AEF Tennessee to learn more. This program, I am the direct contact. And so as we get to the end of this presentation, you'll see my contact information, and please feel free to reach out. It's a not a black and white program. And so I'd be happy to talk through what kind of a fit or competitive fit your potential project may be for this program. Next, we have the Tennessee Dairy Business Innovation Initiatives Grant. This is a new program offered to dairy businesses here in Tennessee, and we definitely have our friends at UTCPA and USDA to thank for having this opportunity. We'll give a shout out to Hal here for doing a lot of work on getting this here, and for being a great resource as we move forward. In the next year or two, we're excited to offer and work with this opportunity for dairy businesses that are looking to diversify their dairy product into new markets, maybe to be innovative in the process of their throughputs. But on the right hand of the screen, we're seeing what options and are good fits for types of projects. And on the left side of the screen, we're seeing kind of some of the parameters for what this is. But just to give you an idea of some good examples, competitive examples for this program, which again focuses just on dairy businesses, is that maybe you are looking to bring in somebody to do an analysis or feasibility study for your business and bringing in and expanding to a new product line in your business of a dairy business here in Tennessee. That feasibility study could be a fit for this program. Or maybe you want to travel to go to a conference to learn more about processing or offering a new market or a new opportunity, a new product from your farm operation, from your dairy business. That trip or conference could be a fit for this program as well. Even getting into pasteurization equipment to diversify and offer new options here for your business and your farm could be a fit as well. But we hope that this opportunity reduces risks and develops higher value uses for dairy products, encourages the use of regional milk products in Tennessee and milk production in Tennessee, and offers diversification opportunities for dairy businesses. Some more examples, as I mentioned here on the right. And what I may do as I open up the chat box to bring in a link here, as I'm having some trouble, is to share a link with you on more information. And I may have to do that after I stop sharing the screen because I'm not as Zoom savvy as I should be. Here we go. There is a link to learn more about this Dairy Business Innovation Grant. that we have here at the state level in the chat box as well. Moving on, Specialty Crop Block Grant is another program that has money coming from the USDA level being administered through the State Department of Ag. So we've talked about a program that's focused on production ag. We've talked about a program that's focused on more of the processing or value added for markets, new market opportunities in the state. We've talked about a program for dairy business innovation. This program is just focused on individual specialty crops in Tennessee or in the region. So instead of really thinking and phrasing it in a mindset of how can I build my business up, this program is more focused on how can I do something that will enhance the competitiveness of an individual specialty crop. So USDA has a pretty extensive list of what is considered a specialty crop. And the focus here, we'll jump straight to that third bullet point for competitive application. If you are doing a project that provides new marketing options for the individual specialty crop, we can use the strawberries that we have pictured here, which is listed on that USDA list. And I'm from Portland, Tennessee. At one point, Portland was more known for Portland strawberries. Let's say you want to bring a project together that kind of makes a specialty crop known for being produced well in an area. Be it strawberries, hops is on the list, something like that. If you're putting together a marketing project that will create that enhanced competitiveness for that crop, it could be a fit for Specialty Crop Block Grant. Maybe instead of marketing, you're thinking more of the research side. And we'll use the hops example again. You want to do a research project, you could tie in with a university like the University of Tennessee, Tennessee State University, to get some research done on one of these listed specialty crops. That's another competitive fit for this program. But it must directly impact multiple Tennessee producers and have a long-lasting positive impact on Tennessee agriculture. As I get finished up, I'll put a link in the chat as well for that list of specialty crops. If you're interested at all in one of those listed crops on the marketing research side, or maybe just another idea that will have a long-lasting impact, please feel free to reach out to us to talk more about that and to dive deeper. This is an annual program, and if you get approved for it, it'll last 3 years to work through the project. If you're interested in doing any kind of GAP certification, we really, really hope that you look at our GAP cost share program. There's a long time frame to apply for this, as you see in the second bullet point, and this is just a way to really assist the industry in getting that GAP cost share certification to enter new markets, to show your reliability in the food products that you may be producing, and just something you don't want to miss out on if you're going to be getting GAP certified anyway. The funds are available on a first come, first served basis, and you see that it can be up to 75% of that certification cost, which doesn't hurt at all to have that support. And the last thing I want to throw out at you guys that isn't a grant opportunity, but more so a marketing opportunity that the state offers, is our Pick Tennessee Products program. This is something that's been around for more than 30 years. And if you are a Tennessee producer, or maybe you're a manufacturer or assembler of Tennessee products, we hope that you're on our Pick Tennessee Products listing already. If not, please look into joining this free program that we offer. But we're excited to have this program in an app, online, with a social media presence, to be able to show folks who can easily go onto the program, see what kind of products are near them, whether that's through a farmer's market listing, from the farm listing of fruits and vegetables, or agritourism. This is something that we definitely hope that folks utilize at all stages of the manufacturing and production level. We're also making an effort to feature folks that are on Pick Tennessee Products through our social media channels. And so if you have been on Pick Tennessee Products and would like to get your business out there, be happy to get your information and work with you on showcasing what you're doing to folks through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. PickTNProducts.org has more information, and you can see what all we offer there. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that folks have. I know that was an extremely high level view of the different programs that we offer at the Tennessee Department of Agriculture level. But with that, Hal, am I missing anything? Anything that I could dive deeper on?
I think that was a really good overview, Will. Thank you so much for putting that together. We may have a question or two. I don't see them yet, but if someone has one, if you want to put that in the chat or unmute to ask Will while we have him here, that'd be fine.
Absolutely. And Pete Nelson and Rick Riddle, that's tough to come before and after. So maybe folks are just ready to hear from them again. Won't hurt my feelings.
Yours was mighty good, mighty timely, mighty helpful, and a wide variety of resources available through TDA. You do not want to miss out on those things. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. This is contact information for me. Like I said, I'm going to be doing some links in the chat here just for folks to follow up on, but feel free to reach out to me at any point. And if I don't know the answer for some of these programs, I can guide you to the folks who administer those to get more info.
Very good. Very good. All right. So we lost Pete. I think he's having some windstorm issues in Memphis in the area. So I'm not sure if he's back on yet. We're going to try him again if he has managed to reconnect. Pete, are you there?
I am on, Hal.
All right. Good deal. All right. Let me make you a co-host then.
And Hal, while we're getting set up here, we're supposed to be done with Rick's time too by noon. So what time would you like me to be done? 11, like 10 more minutes, 12 more minutes? What do you think?
I'm not sure of Rick's schedule. I know Rick is on.
That's just going to be very valuable. So just want to make sure we get it. Let me see if I can share screen. So you can, all right, just tell me when you want me to press play here.
It's not allowing me to share screen with you, so I'm not sure if, our last speaker has unshared.
Uh-oh, Hal, let me look here. I have closed out of my PowerPoint and looking at the share options. I may try just closing out and coming back in and seeing if that helps out now.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for being patient. I was just complimenting myself before I got on with Hal earlier that I thought I had all my internet connections and everything working, which there was a time where I couldn't even get anything to work. So sorry about that. We're having a pretty bad wind over here.
All right. I
should be able to share now.
I think so.
Let me open this, make sure we're seeing things the way we want to be seeing them. Does that work for you there on your end, Hal?
Yeah, I think once you start your presentation, hopefully we'll be able to see it. Right now, we just, there you go.
How's that?
Got it.
So you guys got to meet my little girl Juniper. Popped in for a minute. We had kind of talked about talking to customers, value proposition, and had moved into market channels. And I'm not sure where we got shut off, so I'm just going to go through that super quick, and then we'll pick up from there. So hopefully by now what you've done and in your mind, you're starting to go, I see how all these pieces work together a little bit. If you got a new idea, what you want to do is run out and talk to some people you think are potential customers. The golden rule there is don't go talk to your mom or somebody else you know is going to say you're awesome, but find some people that are going to be a little critical to talk to find out, really, do you have the customers for the value you think you're going to create? And then take a step back and go, I know there's customers out there that love my salsa product that has extra jalapenos in it, that's made this certain special recipe. I'm convinced there's customers, but really what value am I bringing that might differentiate me from somebody else? Eventually you'll need to pull that even into a financial model. And then how am I going to get that to market? And so we were talking about channels. You should have multiple channels probably, but those could include everything from I'm going to be part of a CSA. I'm going to have a regular stand at the farmer's market. I'm going to work with some local retailers that are boutiques and do some work on consignment. There's all kinds of different approaches, but really understanding not only how you're going to get it to market to those customers, but also what you're going to have to pay to get it to market, and start thinking through that. So hopefully this is logical and you guys are kind of picking up on it. The next one is really the customer relationships. And so you've convinced yourself there are customers. You've talked to 25 to 50 potential ones. You've convinced yourself there is value. And that there's channel partners that you can get things that, whether you build those internally or go find them, there's ways you can get your product to market. Well, how do you make sure you hold on to customers? How do you communicate with them? If you're running a farm, which everybody on this call is by nature, there's some really easy things that you can do, a regular newsletter, other types of communication, and just make sure you understand what the costs are. I mean, it sounds great that you're going to put a quarterly full package newsletter out to everybody that buys any of your product, and you're going to follow up this way, and you're going to have a customer service line. Can you actually afford to do that at the scale you're operating in? So all that needs to fit into customer relationships, and how do you maintain those and work those very, very well. It's great Rick's coming after me because he does this stuff intuitively in his head in so many different ways. So you'll hopefully get an actual, some real life examples of how you do this in real time. The next component of this is, now let's put some numbers around this. You kind of understand your customers, what value you're bringing, how you're going to get it to them, and what you might need to maintain them. What price do you put on that? And hopefully you've got a couple revenue streams. It's going to cost you to be at the farmer's market, but you can start calculating what your revenue is going to be there on a weekly basis. You can then add that to other products that you're doing. And so if you kind of think about these first 5 blocks, and again, you can go to Steve Blake's videos and get the 2-minute version of each one of the blocks, or the 20-minute version, to really unpack and dig into that. But really understanding the revenue streams. Will they pay? Is this like, you know, a regular transaction, meaning you're just getting a transaction every time at the farmer's market when you sell product 1 to whoever comes to your stand? Or are you going to be part of a CSA where you get recurring revenue throughout the year? Thinking about all that and laying that out really cleanly. So those 5 boxes are kind of really the external component of the business. How are you looking at your customers, creating value for them, and putting that down on paper? Now, this audience, and I'm going to pretend y'all are all like me. I'm sure a lot of you are much more wise and savvy and likely to not go with your heart as much as I do. I'm always convinced I have a great idea. In fact, I'm so convinced sometimes that I just want to do my idea, even if I can't get it off the ground, just because it's such an awesome idea. And so I just really, really, really want to challenge you all to, every idea you have, run it through this gauntlet and make sure it's just not something in your own brain that you think should be awesome, but that you've really put some scrutiny around it before you put your money up, or worse, the bank's money or friends and family money, into getting something built. So, let's see, I think I skipped, maybe I just skipped over, let's see. Okay, so let me just real quickly talk about the other components. The other 4 are really what you need, the 4 that are blank are really what you need in order to drive your business. Those are the internal activities that have to be done. So let's just start with partners. Who do you have to have? Who do you get your, like, if it's a crop, who do you get your seed from? Who do you get your inputs from? If you've got some other component, they have to be involved. Who has to be there in order to make this work? And as you grow the business you're envisioning, are they going to be there? Can you make sure they're there? That key partner could be your extension agent that you're dependent on to give you advice and activity. It could be that you've got a small chain of stores that have agreed to carry your product. Making sure you understand, without these, I'm really in some trouble, and how likely are they to be there? How does that going to be laid out? And then key activities. This is one of the most important things. Just really understanding on this canvas, you don't need to go in the detail you would in a 90-page business plan, but you need to be able to put something down here where if Hal looks at it, or somebody else with CPA, or I look at it, that we go, you really have a hold on what you're trying to do. you understand that you're going to have to harvest this thing, and it's going to have to be in cold storage, and you're going to have to put that you've laid out the activities. And what you'll find, similar to talking to customers and spending a lot of time with customers, is that especially if you're sort of an idealist entrepreneur like I am, you may not have taken the time to really put all the activities down and understand them and think about then how that's going to be affecting your business. And kind of hand in hand with that are the key resources. What do you got to have? Cash is a key resource. Having, the physical assets necessary to actually process something or store something or package something, and the partners, key activities, and key resources all kind of go hand in hand. And I hope that the synergy in the canvas kind of makes sense. Sitting in the middle is value proposition. Everything to the right is what do the customers want, how to maintain the customers, how to get products to the customers, and how to get income attached to that, the revenue streams. And everything to the left is, well, what do I got to build? What's under the hood to make the whole enterprise work? And that ends finally with cost structure. Looking at the other side of your model, you heard a lot earlier about building a financial model. So you got a revenue income side that should be driven by this discussion with customers and what can you price it for and others. But then you've got the underpinning cost, the fixed cost and the cost of goods that you need to go ahead and pencil out now. Really, how much does it cost to grow these peppers? Really, how much am I having to pay for labor to get them out of the field and get them into this form? Really, what does it cost for these jars that are really cute that I can put the material in and sell it? Laying out all those costs. And what you'll hear time and time again, the cost that you probably won't put in and never factor enough is your cost, your time, your energy. And it's fine to put a little bit of startup time and energy in, but if you're going to try to set this up as some kind of business that pays you, making sure those costs go in and that you're really thinking about this. If you have a separate value add business owned by your farm, you want to make sure you're accounting for costs that are farm costs and your value added business costs. So you heard some of that earlier, but this is a way, this canvas, to look at all these pieces together and understand how they interrelate. And like I said, I do this the moment, if you brought me a new idea, if I think of a new idea tonight and get ready to tell my wife about it, I pull one of these out and jot the stuff down that I know, and then put big question marks with the things that I still have questions about, and then answer those before I even move it further into any other kind of consideration. So Hal, I hope that covered enough detail. Again, if you go to Steve Blank, type him in and look at his, I'm gonna go back a couple slides, make sure I'm getting it right, because if you type in his name, there's 1,000 things that come up. How to build a business. Type that in and you'll get a folder that has about 200 videos that tie back either the short version or the long version with each one of the components of the Lean Startup Business Model Canvas. Lastly, just to kind of end up my discussion, just want to tell you a few things that AgLaunch can do to help. I know at 2:30 Central today, if I'm getting the time right, I might be earlier, how we're going to spend some time, if you want to, kind of talking more about what you're doing. So that's the kind of thing that AgLaunch loves to do. And we really complement CPA well in that and work together, especially if there's things that are sort of out of the box thinking. The type companies we've worked with a lot are like Stony Creek Colors that produces natural indigo for blue jeans, and have spent a lot of time helping them with both their VAPGs, but the actual development and the business plans themselves. Other examples are winter oil seeds and processing, or looking at food grade sorghums. So we love to work with you on the planning, kicking things around. And then also if there are special consultants that you might need or others to build your plan, we can help you with that. Got a little bit of expertise in livestock, but our deal normally is crops, veggies, row crops, and how to turn them into value-added products. We do have a network of farmers. Rick is one of those you'll hear from in a minute, but it is a group. Right now there's 26 of them that are model farms across the state of Tennessee that are all involved in some type of value add or looking at ag tech, innovation, technology, and are willing to help provide some peer support. Or, if you're trying to grow something and you need some other farmers to help you scale, are willing to participate that. And then we've got a series of different cohort-based programs. Often we do those with Center for Profitable Ag or similar organizations that look at things like branded packaging, how to develop new markets, how to think about traceability, especially in the new environment that we're in with blockchain and things like that. And then our network of mentors that are entrepreneurs and technical people that can help you think through your plan or provide some solutions. So again, Hal, thanks so much. I'm sorry for the disruption. Will and I tag team well. We've done it before, so I think that worked out well. And just please include AgLaunch as somebody that's a resource. One of our shared goals with CPA and USDA and TDA is more value-added businesses, more farmers involved beyond the farm gate across Tennessee. And we're a state that all of us are kind of unified around. That is a central part of our economic development and farm development for the state. So love participating in this. Thanks again for having me, Hal. If there's any questions or something else you want me to address, I'm happy to do that.
Very good, Pete. Thank you so much for partnering with us on this and for telling folks what AgLaunch has to offer. And you know, the things that Pete was saying about costs, really that's critical. Getting a good handle on those things. And sometimes you may have someone tell you, well, you know, I just don't see how you can make that work because your costs are too high. Well, that's why you need to sit down and carefully analyze those with someone who can help. Maybe there's some efficiencies that can be gained, and someone like Pete or someone else on our team, managed specialists, also very helpful, and our center, all of us working together can provide some input to you there. Okay, I'm going to try to